Hi, I'm Steve Biggery, your host for Techuisine, a podcast that covers the latest in restaurant technology trends, operational innovations, and strategies to reduce service ordering friction, enhance the guest experience, and more. Each episode, we feature marquee leaders, owners, operators, and innovators from within the restaurant industry. Today, we're continuing our discussion with Scott Gladstone of Dine Brands for our fifth Techuisine episode. Shifting a little bit, pivoting a little bit because I know what a strategic thinker you are. So as I think about the diversity of these three brands, can you give us a perspective on strategies and operational methodologies that might transcend all the brands that you might be applying to all of those three very diverse brands?
Yeah, well, all the brands are different. And I think that's the first thing when you sit in a shared service function, is acknowledging that the brands are different and have their own needs. And that said, where you can apply common principles, it's certainly helpful, and you want to get that leverage. But reminding yourself that one size does not fit all is also important. Operationally, I do think as we go forward, there's going to be a lot of applicability to things like automation. I mean, I think that's probably the biggest one. I'll just put it in kind of quotes, but how we think about automation, supporting our team members and enhancing the guest experience in a number of ways. I think a lot of that's going to be probably back of house focused in terms of tools that we're offering to our managers, or how we support various stations with automation. And so I think that's probably the big long term unlock. Gen AI, like I don't know what that looks like in practice, but I think that will have application, certainly. So there's certainly operational principles that will apply, but there's a lot of stuff we're working on that doesn't work. Work in each brand. A great example is virtual brands, which we'll talk about. But that's an innovation around channels and delivery. Works great in IHOP, where you have capacity in the PM day part,
right,
in the afternoons. And it doesn't work so well when you're focused on dinner. Yeah. It's primarily with Applebee's and with Fuzzy's. So that's one where, hey, let's try it. Let's see if it works. Okay, it doesn't work. We can lift it out and pivot quickly, but focus all our resources now going forward on IHOP for that one. So there's we have a variety of initiatives we're looking at, but I'd say more on those operational automation opportunities is where you'll see some cross-brand application.
Right. I just poking on the AI front a little bit. My perspective is this is just all about enhancing humans, and I think that's where you were headed with that. It's about the guest. It's about enhancing what your team members could do, and kind of the Alfred to your Batman, maybe. Is that how you look at it?
I think nobody really knows exactly how it's going to show up in the restaurant industry. There's a lot of potential use cases. I mean, if you can imagine that, that smartphone application that is, the best friend of your general manager, and it's allowing them to do all of their labor scheduling or inventory ordering or training or coaching or, a lot of the back office type activities that requires disparate sets of data. And if you could load all that information in and give it a prompt and it tells you exactly what you need to do, that seems incredibly useful. That would save a lot of time and then allow you to focus on other activities. So I think that's generally where it's going to go. But it's, there's questions, I think, for restaurant operators. Okay, how do you implement that? I don't think anybody knows yet. Is that something you do with your own IT organization and try to build something bespoke, or do you wait for the vendor to come and solve it for you?
Yeah.
And pros and cons to each.
It's moving
approach,
so quickly. It's going to be very interesting to watch.
I'm waiting for you to come out with something.
Well, we have some very interesting stuff, but today isn't about me.
It's not about you?
No.
Because we use we're partners with you on call center and automation, and having full order automation, where if you call up half of our Applebee's system today, you can get through a whole order with an automated agent, which is fascinating. And I can imagine, though, that there'll be efficiencies and opportunities to build off that core technology with Gen AI applications.
Yeah. So, I mean, to just put a pin in that, yes, I see that as the Alfred to your Batman. I see that as when you can do that, taking a conversational restaurant order is literally the hardest thing you can do in a restaurant. Everything else from travel pass to schedules to become a checklist, something that AI can handle very well. And now that we have successfully conquered drive-through, where it's like taking an order on Mars with the wind and the noise, and you'll see a lot more coming of that. So I think that AI is going to become the manager's best friend, both in the front and the back of the house. But let's, again, this isn't about me. So let's get back to you. What other new innovative strategies have I not asked you about that my guests should know are coming from you? Because I can tell you, as long as I've worked with you, as long as I've known you, as I sit here, I'm struck by how much new is coming out. So what haven't you told me about?
Well, yeah, it's an interesting, it's a very interesting observation, and it feels that way a little bit, especially over the last couple of years coming out of COVID. And I feel like in some ways, we as an industry have been reacting to a lot of what's been happening. And maybe it's that and the combination of like going from a low interest rate environment to a high interest rate environment. In a low interest rate environment, you've got a lot of vendors knocking on your door saying, hey, I've got a really interesting thing. Do you want to try it and trial it for 90 days or a year, and not pay? And so that opens up a lot of opportunities from testing and piloting, et cetera. And those days are gone for sure. And where, now everyone's focused on cash flow and how can I get you paying more and faster, et cetera. And so in some ways, we're going back to first principles right now, which is, okay, we've implemented a lot of new technologies over the last couple of years. Let's take a look at what we have and reassess what the pain points are in the restaurant, both the back of house and in the guest journey. And let's determine again and reprioritize and refocus on what is going to make the biggest impact going forward. I use automation as an example, and hopefully we have some more to share in the coming months. But we've looked at a lot of automation opportunities, and we had a front of house server robot that a franchisee was testing, and we've looked at back of house technologies, at least gone to vendors and various things, and it's a little hard to keep track of it all and to wrap your head around, because there's such big ideas. Right. And okay, what is actually going to move the needle for the brand when you've got limited resources to test these things? And so we're kind of going back to first principles. Where do we think is going to move the needle? And so hopefully I'll be coming back to you in a couple of months and with some big reveal to say, here's where we're going to focus our time and effort on investment and really getting right. Because we have been spending a lot of time the last couple of years tracking down the new thing to solve this problem that has popped up because things have changed so quickly.
For more information about Techuisine, please visit our website at techuisine.com.